Good morning, Ranger Dave for West Valley Rural. You see some activity in the back there. We got some, it's one of our meat processing days. It's a topic I'll go over with some other time. Today's topic that I want to talk about is something you don't consider important, but it's hugely important. It's runoff. Now, most of you might think that runoff is just something that happens after it rains. Well, yeah, that's it. I mean, but what you're seeing is a symptom of a greater problem. It's something I see every day, and I've learned to deal with it in a little differently, and I hope to educate you on how to handle these things better. It's something I see every day. It's an obvious problem. And I hope to make it as obvious as, how obvious? As obvious as a man with no pants. I mean, it's something like that you would notice. Who's walking around and somebody's walking around with no pants? You notice that. It's how I view runoff and the problems pertaining to runoff. I see them all the time. It's obvious. But in most cases, most people just don't see it. Just don't see it. They see it after it rains and that's it. That's the problem. Problem gone. That's not the case. So, let's get started. All right, I'm out on some property south of my own, and this is what today you would call improved properties. Okay, I want you to see what an improved property looks like. This is an improved. If somebody would have stated, like for real estate thing, or something, it's this. Look at the improvement. Okay, I don't see it that way. How do you expect the land to ever give back to you if you've taken everything from it? Everything. Not even a bug can survive out there, yet alone how are you going to thrive? Anybody that moves into there is going to constantly complain about, well, we never get any rain, oh, we just don't get enough rain, oh, no, not enough rain. Where's the rain supposed to go? You ever thought about that? Okay. But this is improved. I just don't see it. I see desolation. I see ruin. I see just absolute just ruin. What can the land give you? Okay. Now, a week ago, we got about over an inch of rain. Let's see if we can find it. Let's see, where did it go? Okay, when you do this kind of thing to land, there is no vegetation to support the rain not running off. And what happens is it develops a crust on top of it, okay? Now, what happens then is if it does rain, okay, it just bounces off that crust. Very little of it soaks in. And let's just go see what we got. All right, you see, we got an inch of rain last week. You see any of it? Do you see any of it? An inch of rain, where did it go? Where did it go? So you got this crust, okay? But as soon as you punch pat that crust, say if you drive a car over it or kids play out in it, all of a sudden, you've got dust. And you're going to live and eat dust on your property for anywhere from 5 to 10 years before vegetation maybe comes back. This is not an improved property in Ranger Dave's book. This is ruin. This is absolute ruin. Do you see any clumping? Soil that holds moisture will clump. No clumping whatsoever. You see any vegetation, any vegetative matter, anything, any sticks, twigs, bugs, anything, any grass, anything? Nothing. Nothing but ruin. Welcome to my library. So we've been outside and seen the problem that not too many people consider a problem. This is because we've grown up managing the effect. without ever considering the cause. We make a practice of landscaping rather than landskeeping. Landskeeping. Okay? How did we get here? Well, when Lewis and Clark, this is an abridged version of their journals, when Lewis and Clark first crossed America, what did they find? Okay? Herds of bison, deer, elk, flocks that would darken the skies, and an intact river system with tributaries, ponds, marshes, perennial grasses, high as a horse's bridle. That's all gone now. But it did not disappear overnight. It took decades of mismanagement, happening so slowly that most people never saw the process breaking down. Annual crops now feed a country. That's good. But annual grasses now feed wildfires, especially in California, almost every year. The hydrological cycle is broken, but it did happen so slowly that those who don't understand it try to find fixes and solutions that are almost laughable and will have zero effect. You cannot solve a hydrological cycle problem by everybody driving electric cars. It's really? Climate change is a false narrative. And how can we tell? Well, false narratives always require cheerleaders or cheerleading. Let's give a cheer for set science. Yay! Okay, but see, fact is, truth always stands on itself. Narratives, or especially false narratives, always require you to bring in the girls with the pom-poms and cheer, and everybody, just going along with it. We watch and support the cheerleaders and never get to the trunk of the tree of the problem. People reach for textbooks, and these books are typically support those false narratives because it's easy to think you're informed. Okay, but the solutions, which are not solutions, they just manage an effect. And with runoff, every time it rains, we see an effect, but we don't see why it's going on. You unwittingly now become part of the problem. The problem is a broken hydrological cycle. It took well over 100 years for this to break. And there are plenty of first-person narratives that will tell you all about the times that it was breaking, but people weren't paying attention. This is a natural problem that cannot be fixed with solar panels, windmills, and electric cars. Technology is good, but it's the wrong tool. There is a better way. Now, you and I have zero way of correcting a broken hydrological cycle on a continental size, but we can use holistic methods, okay, on a small scale to mitigate our impact on it and our damage and how it affects us. We can actually become part of the solution rather than part of the problem. Now, this is what I consider the Bible of holistic management techniques. Its author comes out of Zimbabwe, Africa, and he's put its practices in place in large areas and seen significant effect. And on a small scale, you and me can put these practices in on our properties and see an effect. You can become part of the solution rather than part of the problem. And a right method is so much cheaper than buying an electric car. What you need is animals. You need debris, you need goats and chickens. That's a lot cheaper than an electric car. Now, let's go outside and see that in action. All right, now that we've been in the library and had a good lesson on how we got here and what we're doing wrong, let's examine how on a low budget you can do it right. Now, most people out here in the rural areas, they like to burn their brush, which is not a good use of the material at all. But then they say, well, I can't afford a chipper, or a chipper is too much. You know what? That little chipper right there handles pretty much everything on our property. anything from 3/4 inch up I want for my fireplace anyhow. So pretty much, and it's lightweight. I haul it over to the tree I'm working on, and as soon as I got it done, I just plug it in and buzz it out. And so you have debris. Rather than burn it, you have debris on the ground that can be scattered about, that can hold down dust, hold down water, and add to your gradual mulch of your ground as you build up. Now, as far as using animals, you cannot exactly duplicate what happened on the American plains, but you can essentially duplicate it on a small scale if you're done right. See, every week, when I clean out my goat pens, I bring out anywhere from 2 to 6 wheelbarrow loads of the mulch. And it's full of wastage hay. You got your poop there. Okay? That's good material. Really good material. And all I do is real simple. I dump it on the ground and let the chickens take care of spreading it out. And over time, it just gets spread out, and your ground, essentially, your mulch, your humus, gets deeper and deeper, and it can hold in that moisture when it does come, and you have much less to no runoff whatsoever. Okay, now I want to take you to a couple places where I've been putting these things into practice, these techniques into practice, and let's see if there's a difference between what we saw earlier on that improved property and what's the difference between a property where you've been doing it right. All right, I'm now taking you to, I'm going to take you to 2 different places on my property where I've been treating it the right way, treating it the way right management techniques. And remember, the whole area had an inch of rain about a week ago. I have not watered these trees in about a week. Again, with the other property to the south, the improved property, you saw no evidence of the rain. Let's see if we can find some evidence of the rain. Don't take long. See how much darker this soil is. It's got moisture. It can clump. It can clump. It stays together. Look how dark that is. You can see there is organic material in there. Remember, you cannot expect your soil to give to you if you don't give it, if you do not give to it first. Now let's go to another piece. All right, now I've come to another piece, and you can clearly tell my turkeys like this area, and you're going to kind of see why. Look at all the surface organic material. Again, we have not had any rain. This does not receive any water. Okay. Look at the moisture down there. And it clumps. This is why the birds like it. It's nice and cool temperature. Look how deep that goes, that moisture. Remember that if you don't give back to your soil would have nothing give back to you. Now I'm on the furthest south end of our property here, and I want you to notice some of the subtle things I've done too. When water moves, especially in flash floods or good rains, it's going to move fast. So you need to do anything and everything to slow that water down. And it doesn't take much. It's just debris, wood, bricks, anything and everything to slow that water down. These types of things are just as obvious to me as, like I say, a man with no pants. I mean, it's obvious that these things work and they're doable, but most people just never notice these things. I want you to see something. The farthest end of the property, you want to slow that water down. Okay, how much debris is on the other side of that fence? Very little. Very little debris from our property because it didn't make it there. Because the water was moving so slowly at that point that there was nothing to push any debris. So think about these things.
All right.
Thanks for visiting West Valley Rural. I hope you've learned a few things about runoff, how it affects properties much more than when it just rains. So you can keep that rainfall on your property, and if your neighbor wants to let theirs run off into yours, you can keep that too. And you can have an abundance on your property you can grow things and more birds, more bees, and just an abundance of prosperity. Turn off the camera there.
All right,
No,
it's off.
It's good? You
Yeah, good.
Because I think you got a couple bees on your shoulder.
Bees?
Yeah,
Where?
yeah. Just what?
Where?
Don't
Oh,
run
where?
off. Don't run off.
Oh, I hate
Don't
bees.
run off. Okay. Whoa. That's a lot of bees.
Get it off. Get him off.
Okay.
Get him off.
Okay, wait.
Get him off.
Whoa,
Get him off.
Oh.
Get him off.